Worshipful Masters, distinguished brethren and brethren all, Provincial Grand Orator speaking, and as we try to return to our Freemasonry, I thought a few thoughts from me might not come amiss. Now I wonder if you are thinking, well, what is that picture all about? Well, one of the things that I do in retirement, having spent many years in education, I do occasional work as a school inspector. And this is always a great joy because one of the things I really missed when I retired is that daily contact and stimulation that comes from working with young minds. So I was more than pleased when I was asked by the inspectorate to head up north to inspect a school. And I don't know about you, but I grew up with perceptions of the North as being all about flat caps and brass bands. And on my way, on the journey up, the head rang me and he said, well, I know you're staying in a hotel tonight and we have a school musical performance tonight. So perhaps you'd like to come and watch it. And I thought, well, that's a jolly good idea. And I said, yes. And he said, I'll send the deputy head round to your hotel just before the performance to pick you up and bring you so you can come and watch it. Now, that wasn't a bad invitation at all, because actually, one of the things I have to do as an inspector is take a range of opinions to see what the school is like. And chatting with the parents is a jolly good idea. And as I imagine there'd be a good many parents there, this seemed like an ideal opportunity to gather some of the inspection evidence for writing my report in due course. So I was duly collected and taken to the school, and the performance was Joseph and his amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And what you see in the picture there is the finale. And as I drove into the school, there were a lot of men in flat caps, and the school brass band was playing. So my perceptions of the North were entirely reinforced, although I'm sure it's not all stereotypes like that. But it was rather amusing. And the brass band were lovely, and I like brass bands at the very best of times. So we got into the school, and the young man you see in the picture who played Joseph, he was absolutely amazing. And the staff had gone to considerable trouble, as you can see, to make all those tie-dyed T-shirts which formed the costumes. And although the props were in some sense minimal, the performance was outstanding, captivating, beautiful musically, and left me with some wonderful impressions of the school. And just in case you're wondering, when I'd finished the inspection, I did indeed rate this school as outstanding in its work with teenagers. But to get back to the story, so what you see here is Joseph in his coat of many colours, indeed all the colours of the rainbow. And it's the rainbow effect that made me think for a moment about what we're doing at the moment. And if I can take you back to the volume of the Sacred Law, when we read the story of Noah in the book of Genesis, we are told that the great architect's promise for the future is symbolized in the rainbow. When the flood is over, then the sun comes out and the rainbow appears, and we're told that it is a sign of the promise for the future. And that seemed to me to be a good place to start, because actually this particular story in the book of Genesis is hinted at in the Royal Arch ceremony and is manifest in other of the degrees of Freemasonry, where that particular section of the volume of the Sacred Law is used. And in that the rainbow is a sign of renewal, I hope for those of us who are managing to get back to Freemasonry, and indeed for those who are not, there is a sense of renewal as we approach Freemasonry once again. Now, we may find, of course, when we roll up to lodge, that things are not quite as they were before. Certainly, I've been to a few lodges now. Our ritual is a bit rusty. Some of our sense of direction is perhaps a little bit lost. Certainly, as an organist, I know people have forgotten some of the bits of music that we sing, and there's a need to practice once again. But I don't think any of that really matters, because actually there is a joy in rediscovering things once again, and perhaps finding that as we do so, there are new perceptions that we hadn't thought of before. We revisit something that in many ways is old and familiar, but there are aspects of that thing that we have forgotten or perhaps just buried deep in our memory that come to the surface once again. And as we do so, there is that real joy in rediscovery. And so I've been to a few lodges now, and I have done some orations, and we've done some ritual, and Wellington School Lodge, of which is my mother lodge, we have a great sense of joy in coming back together once again. I hope that will continue. There are, of course, continuing difficulties with COVID, but nonetheless, if you've gone back to lodge, or whether you're still not quite able to do so, I hope you can catch something of this sense of renewal as Masonic activity begins once again. Another possible image is to keep in your mind is what happens in the third degree. And that moment when you are raised from the grave, having spent a few moments contemplating your own mortality. I'm sure many of us in that moment that we are raised on the 5 points of fellowship find ourselves renewed and with a new spirit of appreciation of the world around us. So, as we all come back to Freemasonry once again, I do wish you all well, and I will hope to meet up with many of you again in the very near future. And I hope you've enjoyed this absolutely wonderful picture of young people performing Joseph and the symbolism that I've managed to draw from you. I hope you are well. Bless you all, and hope to see you soon.